The conference room on Park Avenue smelled like polished wood and cold betrayal. Yeah, I know, not the kind of scent you expect to stick with you, but I remember it as clear as the color of that divorce pen. There it was, a silver Mont Blanc, just waiting between my fingers, and across the table sat my husband, Cole Mercerwell, soon to be cool as ice in his suit, rolling back his sleeve so everyone could see the Rolex glinting under the lights. He wouldn't even look at me, just nodded to my lawyer. Let's keep this clean, Lily. I have a flight to L.A. That was Cole. Always another meeting, another model, another life waiting right outside the door. I pressed the pen down so hard my signature bled across the paper. Divorce, in all caps. One single tear splattered right into the ink. My lawyer whispered something about being brave, but it just sounded like another nail in the coffin. Cole rose without a second glance, slid his phone into his pocket, and tossed a "take care of yourself" over his shoulder like we'd just bumped carts at the grocery store. I wanted to scream, but all I managed was this brittle little smile. The kind you give when everything inside you is shattered, but you can't afford to show the world the pieces. When the door slammed, I just stood there pregnant, 6 months, alone staring at Manhattan wrapped in mist and rain. My reflection in the window looked like a ghost. You know that feeling? When you can't tell if the world's moving or if you're just stuck on pause. My lawyer asked if I needed someone to call. I shook my head. No, I'll walk. I tucked the signed papers into my old leather bag, grabbed my ancient iPhone, and stepped out into the drizzle, letting the city swallow me up. The rain tasted metallic, almost bitter. I drifted past Cartier and Dior, Tiffany's window glittering with a life that used to be mine. My hand pressed against my belly, feeling that faint, hopeful kick. We'll be okay, I whispered. I promise. And then, bam, flashbulbs. Some paparazzo across the street screamed, "Mrs. Mercer, is it true he's marrying Sloane next month?" That's when it hit. Meth divorce wasn't an ending. It was the pre-game show to my public humiliation. The world was already tuning in. The wedding photos exploded online before I'd even finished my morning coffee. Cole Mercer Tech hotshot, now gracing the plaza with Sloane Rivers, the runway darling. The headlines cruel, poetic, relentless. Sloane dripping in crystals, Cole's tux sharp enough to cut glass. They look like the couple the world wants you to root for, rich, untouchable, glossy, and heartless. Meanwhile, I was holed up in a tiny rental in Queens, wrapped in a sweatshirt, belly popping, scrolling headlines that slapped harder than any breakup ever could. Everywhere I looked, Cole's arm was around her. The same way he used to pull me close, the way I once thought meant home. Then there was a knock at the door. Maya Brooksby college roommate, turned lawyer, turned guardian angel barged in with 2 Starbucks and a brown bag. "You seen it?" she asked, not even needing to clarify. I just nodded. He married her the same week the papers were final. Maya rolled her eyes. Classic Cole. But he's not done with you yet. Prenatal coverage, he owes it under spousal health. The law doesn't forget, Lily. I tried to smile, but my faith was running on fumes. He'll find a way to dodge it. She squeezed my hand. Then we'll find a way to corner him. Drink your coffee. You're feeding 3 lives now. That night, the rain wouldn't let up, same as the ache in my chest. I scrolled through wedding photos, comments, upgrade achieved. Poor ex-wife. I turned the phone face down, stared at the ceiling, remembered everything, how he built his world on my 2 jobs and his empty promises. How I defended him to everyone. How he left me behind as soon as he found someone shinier. The next day at work, my supervisor didn't even look up. "We need those promo cuts by tonight, Lily. HR's asking about your maternity leave." Translation: they were already planning my replacement. I ate lunch outside Rockefeller Plaza, staring at my reflection in the glass, messy hair, tired eyes, a body that felt both breakable and bulletproof. I scribbled in my notebook, "I will rebuild, even if it kills me." Just then my phone buzzed a text from an unknown number. "You should stop showing up where you're not wanted. He's moved on. So should you. No name needed." That message stank of Sloane's perfume and fake sympathy. I deleted it and whispered, "You'll see." Because in that moment, I wasn't broken, I was pissed. The city felt different as I walked away. Harsher, sure, but alive. I glanced up at a billboard. Cole and Sloane, honeymooning in the Hamptons. I didn't even slow down, because for the first time, I realized revenge wasn't about hate anymore. It was about survival. That night, after another late shift, I caught the last bus. The city lights were smeared across the rain-soaked glass. I was 6.5 months along, exhausted, ankles swollen, heart pounding. The bus was nearly empty. A man in a dark coat, an old lady with groceries. As we hit a pothole on the Queensboro Bridge, pain shot through my belly. My whole world tilted. "Oh no," I whispered. The driver shouted, "You okay?" But before I could answer, the man in the back was beside me, calm, steady. "She needs air," he said, peeling off his coat. "Breathe slow." "I'm Edward." The bus pulled over at a gas station. Rain hammered down. Edward shielded me with his umbrella, his own shoulders getting drenched. "You shouldn't be alone out here," he said, calling a cab and sliding me inside. He handed me a card. "Edward Langley, Langley Holdings. If they don't admit you, call Dr. Harris at Columbia." He owes me. Why was he helping? Because I've seen that look. No one should fight alone at midnight. At the hospital, the nurses said it was just stress, false labor, but warned me to rest. Edward's card burned a hole in my palm all the way home. When I Googled him, my jaw dropped. Reclusive billionaire, lost his wife, vanished from headlines. And here he was, saving a nobody like me at midnight in Queens. For the first time, I wondered if fate wasn't out to get me, but maybe give me a second shot. The next morning, the clinic was all humming fluorescents and antiseptic. I laid on the table, gel cold on my belly, and the sonographer smiled. "Did you know you're carrying triplets?" Triplets. My world spun. I walked out clutching a stack of forms, feeling like I'd just been handed 3 tiny universes plus a pile of new bills. I stopped at the pharmacy, had to put back vitamins when my card barely covered the basics. That night, Maya showed up with groceries and a used Kindle. "Read something that doesn't break your heart," she said. We ate instant noodles, laughing at nothing, for a moment almost normal. Then the pain hit. Another hospital run. The doctor's words? Early signs of preeclampsia. Stress makes it worse. You need bed rest. I laughed through tears. "I can't afford that." "You can't afford not to," he replied. Later, another message. "If you're smart, you'll stop dragging this out." "He's not coming back for you." Sloan again. I deleted it, jaw set. I was so done with her games. Then the nurse appeared. "You have a visitor." And there was Edward, suit rumpled, hair damp, holding lilies. "You said you might need a doctor's number." I figured I'd check in person. For the first time in months, the world slowed down, just for me. After that scare, I worked from home, editing videos, promising myself one more week, one more project, even as my body begged for mercy. I tried walking to the store and, wouldn't you know it, ran smack into Sloan in the elevator. Perfect hair, designer trench, assistant glued to her phone. "Oh, you're Lily, right?" Her voice was sugar-lace poison. "You're glowing." For someone doing this alone. The doors opened and she waltzed out, perfume trailing, leaving me frozen in humiliation. I sat in Starbucks afterward, writing in my notebook, "Pain doesn't kill you. It teaches you who you are." Maya texted. Hospital bill arrived. "You need a miracle, Lise." I almost laughed. A miracle would be nice. Right then, Edward appeared outside, umbrella and paper bag in hand. "Had a meeting nearby," he lied, handing me muffins and tea. "You don't have to keep checking in." He shrugged. "Maybe I want to." For the first time in weeks, I laugh at a real, raw, ugly laugh. My ex is good at expensive. Maybe it's time I get good at surviving. The rain started again. Sloane's car sped past, but I didn't flinch. I just sipped my tea and whispered, "We'll be okay." Because in a city that took everything, a stranger gave me hope. A few days later, an envelope arrived. Cole's law firm. Non-disclosure and settlement. They wanted my silence about everything. For a moment, I almost signed. Rent was due, insurance was a joke, and the temptation to disappear was strong. But then another text from Sloan. "If you cared about your babies, you'd stop embarrassing their father." Something snapped. I tore the document to shreds and marched straight to Maya. "He doesn't get to silence me," I said. "Not this time." We filed for full medical coverage. Every penny Cole owed, let the court make him pay. Cole called, furious. "You really want to make this ugly?" I swallowed hard. You made it ugly the day you left. You think anyone will believe you? You're nobody. I hung up before he could finish, heart thumping. That night, surrounded by unpaid bills and empty notebooks, I whispered to my babies, they think I'm weak. They have no idea what a mother can do. The wind rattled the windows. I didn't flinch. Let begin, I thought. And begin it did. Early one morning, labor hit way too soon. I barely dialed 911 before Edward, soaked and wild-eyed, was at my door. Let's go, he said, half carrying me to the waiting SUV. The city was empty, streetlights glowing on rain-slicked roads. At the hospital, Edward barked at the doctors, triplets. Move. Next thing I knew, I was in surgery, his face the last thing I saw before the world went white. 3 cries. 3 miracles. I woke up sobbing, nurses telling me they were small but strong. Edward was there, hair a mess, eyes red, holding tiny knit caps. How did you? I called Charlotte. She sent them. Something changed in his eyes. Sometimes life gives you a second chance when you least expect it. I'm not the kind of man who ignores that. I squeezed his hand, letting myself hope just for a second. The days blurred NICU visits, sleepless nights, triplets fighting to breathe. Edward was always there, coffee in hand, silent, steady. One day, the social worker said, "You'll need help at home." I tried to joke I just work for my laptop, but we both knew I wasn't over my head. That evening, Edward offered his family's guest house, medical staff, anything I needed. It's not charity, he said. It's logistics. I watched someone I love fight for life alone. I couldn't save her. Maybe I can help you. I set ground rules independence. No blurred lines, just safety for my babies. We shook on it. Deal, he said, and for the first time, I felt like I had a shot. Then, one grainy photograph blew at all UPA billionaire carrying my baby outside Columbia Medical. The gossip sites went wild. Lily Hart, ex-wife of Cole Mercer, now rescued by Manhattan's richest widower. Maya called, "Don't open your phone." But it was too late. The press painted me as a gold digger. Edward moved fast, issuing a statement, a Langley Foundation sponsoring neonatal care for single mothers. I wanted to hide, but Charlotte, Edward's sister, insisted. Let public sympathy be your armor. Meanwhile, Cole was losing its Sloan mocking him, investors calling, tabloids feasting. For the first time, I felt the world rooting for me, just a little. Even as the haters circled, I stood tall. The judge saw through Cole's custody, stunned, never even seen the kids, never paid a dime. In court, Maya laid out every receipt, every absence, every cruel text. Cole's mask cracked. I stood before the cameras and said, "I'm protecting them from what their father became." That clip ran everywhere. For the first time, I wasn't the scandal. I was the reckoning. But Cole never could have sued me for defamation, tried to paint me as the villain. We fought back every document, every audio file. In court, his lies unraveled, investors fled, Sloan sold her story and disappeared. The judge dismissed his suit, made him apologize in print. When I read his statement, she acted with integrity. I did not. I folded it and put it away. The only signature of his I ever wanted to keep. Summer brought peace, real peace. Edward whisked us to the Hamptons. I watched my kids play on the sand, heard their laughter carried by the wind, and realized this was what victory felt like. Not applause, not headlines. Just salt air, sunlight, and a quiet heart. I wanted to help other women like Meso. We started a foundation for single mothers. Real support, not just sympathy. Edward promised, we'll build it together. And I believed him. By autumn, my documentary, The Mothers Who Stayed, premiered at the Metropolitan. For the first time, I was the storyteller, not the story. The crowd cried, then cheered. And at the back of the theater, I saw Cole smaller, older, broken. He handed me a college fund for the kids. Don't tell them where it came from. Maybe he was finally learning what real strength was. Later, a reporter asked, "What do you want people to take from your film?" I looked into the camera, steady as I'd ever been. Women don't need saving. They need to be seen. That applause? It wasn't for surviving. It was for refusing to disappear. Winter crept over Manhattan. The townhouse glowed with birthday balloons, triplets racing across the floor. Edward baked cookies, Maya teased about miracles, and Charlotte joked we'd spoiled them all. I watched the snow fall, realized for the first time I wasn't bracing for another fight. I was just living. Sometimes at night, I'd wonder what if that bus had never broken down, if kindness and fate had passed me by. But I knew better now. Survival's just the beginning. The real prize is building something worth living for. So tell me, when the world tries to write you off, do you stay down or do you write the next chapter yourself? And if you've ever rebuilt after being broken, share your story below. Because justice, kindness, and truth are not just headlines. They're how we turn pain into legacy.